If you've used the standard Shopify node in n8n, you've probably run into its limits. It still relies on Shopify's old REST API and only supports a few basic operations, mostly for products and orders. In my recent projects, I needed far more flexibility for automation. That's why I built a Shopify GraphQL node for n8n, powered by Shopify's modern GraphQL API. With it, you can manage every Shopify resource, products, inventory, metafields, customers, and even take advantage of bulk operations to query or update thousands of records at once. I've been working with Shopify Plus stores for over a decade, and now I'm releasing this node to the n8n community because I know many developers and store owners will benefit from it. In this video, I'll show you exactly how it works. We'll fetch more than 5,000 products, increase the stock for each variant by one, and push the updates back to Shopify. And all through bulk operations. So let's dive in. All right, here we're inside my n8n dashboard. For workflow creation, I usually run n8n locally in Docker and expose it through ngrok. That gives me a public URL so you can connect to external services like Shopify. For credentials, I'm using the standard Shopify access token. The same token works for both the default Shopify REST node and my custom Shopify GraphQL node. If we open the community nodes in the tab settings, you'll see that I've installed my package, n8n nodes Shopify GraphQL. It's publicly available on npm, so you can search for it and install it just like any other community node. Now, let's take a look at the demo workflow I've prepared. We'll go through a few examples that show the progression from the standard Shopify REST node to advanced Shopify GraphQL and bulk operations. Let's start with the Shopify REST API. Here I'm using the getMany operation on the product resource and setting the limits to 2. That works fine, but my test store has about 5,000 products. So let's try to fetch them all. And here we hit the problem, a rate limit error. Shopify's REST API quickly throttles large operations. You could wrap REST calls inside the loop, but later I'll show you a much better solution using Shopify's bulk operations, which completely bypass rate limits. Now let's compare this with my Shopify GraphQL node. Here you see a GraphQL query that fetches products. But how do we actually create these queries? Let's jump over to Shopify. This is the GraphQL Explorer app, which allows you to run queries directly on your store. Shopify also provides excellent documentation for the GraphQL API. You can manage virtually every resource in your store using it. On the documentation page, simply copy one of the example queries, paste it into the GraphQL Explorer, and execute it. You'll get an instant preview of the data coming straight from your store. When you're ready to use it in n8n, just copy the query and paste it into the GraphQL node's query field. The results from a GraphQL query are nested under the data property. So the next step is usually to spit those out for further processing. Now you've got a clean array of objects, perfect for use within automations. Let's update something next, for example, the product title. GraphQL handles updates through mutations. First, we'll check the current title of a product inside Shopify. Now let's update that title by appending an X to the end. Execute. And the update is successful. Back in Shopify admin, reload the page, and there it is, title updated. What about product variants? Let's extend our query to also fetch the variants for each product. When requesting collections in GraphQL, you always need to define limits for how many child elements to return, or use pagination cursors, which can get a bit complex. That's exactly where Shopify's bulk operations make things simple. Bulk operations let you run GraphQL queries or mutations asynchronously on Shopify servers. Once the job finishes, Shopify gives you a download URL so you can fetch the results. And the best part, my GraphQL node for n8n handles all that complexity for you behind the scenes. So let's test it out. Here's the same query as before, but this time without the limit. Execute, and it returns all 5,000 products. No rate limits, no pagination. I like to use a tag named bulk on my queries to keep results smaller during testing. Here it's limited to 2 products. But remember, bulk queries always execute asynchronous on Shopify servers. Here are the results. Now let's include the variants. Shopify returns bulk operation results in a flat JSON-L format. For simple objects, that's fine, but for nested data, you can have n8n rebuild it into a hierarchy. Variants are now nested under each product. And if we include type name in our queries, the hierarchy will use those type names instead of generic child labels, which makes it much cleaner to read. Now for the final and most powerful example, fetching all products and updating the inventory with a bulk mutation. First, we'll fetch all products including the current inventory quantities. Let's verify one product in Shopify. The variant size 36 currently has a stock of 4. Now let's increase all stock quantities by 1. That's done with this bulk mutation. The input variables are a bit more complex, but you'll find links to this workflow, all queries and variable examples in the video description. Here's the expression that updates the inventory field. It simply adds 1 to each value. Let's execute the workflow and success. Back to Shopify, reload the page, and there it is. The stock is now 5. As a bonus, I've also included the query to retrieve the inventory location, which you'll need for your own bulk mutations. And that's it for this demo. I hope you've gotten a good first impression of how powerful the Shopify GraphQL n8n node is. With it, you can automate virtually any part of your Shopify store inside n8n, from syncing inventory to updating products in bulk. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please give it a like. And if you don't want to miss future videos about advanced n8n automation, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.